Hello everybody, and welcome back to Surfact Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. We'll be giving you all the first appearance hitting your comic shops today. Now this week we've got a pretty good lineup for you guys. I think we have 3 first appearances, 4 honorable mentions, so 7 titles all to go through. Definitely some books in there worth picking up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week ending September 27th, 2024. First up from DC Comics, Lobo Cancellation Special Number 1. This features the first appearance of Murder Crotch Slaughterface. Now this here is a 48-page one-shot that promises chaos, violence, and inappropriateness. Now like we always say with the DC Comics, it really depends on what DC has planned for these characters as to how important these characters are going to be in the future. You know, DC doesn't have the cinematic power that Marvel Disney has to get a lot of these characters on the screen, get a lot more eyes on these characters. So they have to really rely on the popularity with fans, you know, great storytelling, and just word of mouth that really get people excited about these characters, get people to care about these characters in the future. So keeping that in mind, this here is the first appearance of this Murder Crotch Slaughterface. You know, we really don't know anything about this character at this point, whether DC really just plans on keeping this character within this particular one-shot, or if they're actually going to make this character more important across the DCU. So this one here is definitely going to be speculative if you choose to pick it up. But you know, it may be worth picking up for a spec at the cover price. You know, if this does go somewhere and this is popular with fans, you definitely don't want to chase this down years later for a lot more money. So this one here is definitely going to be speculative. So grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Marvel Comics, Phases of the Moon Knight number 2. This features the first appearance of a Moon Knight that exists in a gritty, dark future version of the Marvel Universe. Now we mentioned this here in other videos. These alternate universe versions of these existing characters, we really don't know how important these are going to be in the future. If this particular version of Moon Knight is the one that Marvel decides to go with, brings this character to screen, gets a lot of fans and collectors excited about this particular version of Moon Knight, then this one here may be important in the future. But if this here version of Moon Knight is one that just exists in this particular storyline, or this particular story arc, and then we never see him again, you know, then this here may not be all that important. You know, we do always recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in Marvel titles, you know, because Marvel Disney are still churning out a ton of material for the small screen and big screen. And like I said before, this is the version of Moon Knight they bring to the screen, get a lot of fans and collectors excited about it, and then this is the one you want to own. But if they don't, and this character goes nowhere, then this one here won't be all that important. So this one here will be a little bit more speculative, but you know, like we always say, the risk is probably worth the reward at the cover price. So grab this one here for your collection if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Dynamite, Thundercats number 8. This features the first appearance of Apex, a Thundercat. Now this Thundercat series has been hugely popular with fans and collectors, and the fact that they're introducing a new Thundercat into this title series, this is one you do want to pick up for your collection. You know, the Thundercats franchise is just as popular today as it was way back when it first came out. And like I said, the fact they're introducing a new character into the Thundercats universe, this is one you do want to own. Go ahead and grab this one. And now for the honorable mentions. From Image Comics, Horizon Experiment, The Manchurian number 1. Now this here is one of 5 unrelated one-shots under the Horizon Experiment banner that reimagines classic genres with main characters that have different ethnicities. In this version, the Manchurian is described as a Chinese James Bond. Now typically gender swapping or ethnicity swapping characters that already exist isn't necessarily something you want to get into long term. You know, these characters don't necessarily have strong staying power just because they have been gender swapped or ethnicity swapped. With that being said though, if this particular version of this character is the one that's being pushed forward, fans and collectors love this character, then this one here may be worth picking up. You know, it all really depends on the popularity of this character with fans. If fans and collectors don't respond to this particular version of this character, then this book is going to go nowhere. This probably isn't worth owning. But like I said, if it becomes popular with fans and collectors, if it gets a lot of buzz behind it, if this actually makes it to the screen in some fashion, whether small screen or big screen, then this is one you definitely want to own at the cover price. So this one here will be a little more speculative because you are speccing on fans and collectors actually accepting this version of this character. And like I said, if they don't, this is going to go nowhere. So grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Image Comics, The Tin Can Society number 1. A tech mogul metal-suited vigilante has been found murdered and his suit missing, prompting his estranged childhood friends to reunite and solve the mystery of his death. Now this one here sounds like it can lend itself very well to a small screen and big screen project, and Image Comics has a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past. And like we always remind you guys, if they don't make it to screen, that's not necessarily a big deal. Just the fact that their option alone definitely drives the price up on these in the secondary market. So this story here, like I said, does sound like it can translate easily to a screen. This does feature some sort of tech mogul, metal-suited vigilante. So it sounds kind of tech and superhero related. So definitely something that can lend itself to the screen. So in our opinion, this here is a great spec. Grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put it in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Vault Comics, Lilith #1. Lilith is an immortal who's been banished from her home, a dimensional plane suspiciously similar to mankind's idea of hell. She's been posing as a model on Earth while secretly preying on humans. That is, until she runs into Penelope, a sweet bookstore owner with a tome that might hold the secret to returning Lilith to her dimension, but only if the mismatched pair doesn't end up falling in love first. Now this one here sounds like it lends itself very well to a small screen, big screen project, and Vault Comics has had some of their titles picked up an option in the past. So this one here is definitely going to be speculative. If you are specking on this, getting picked up an option, getting in front of a lot more people, getting a lot more eyes on this particular title series, and have people race back and try to find this comic in the secondary market. So this one here, definitely a spec bet, but it may be worth picking up for the cover price. Like we always say, sometimes the risk is worth the reward on these. You don't want to miss out. So grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put it in your B-list and take a look at it later on. And finally from Dark Horse, Turtles of Grayskull #1. Now this here is a crossover of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Masters of the Universe. Now as you guys know, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle franchise and the Masters of the Universe franchise probably just as popular today as they were back in the 80s and 90s when they came out. Now these are two powerhouse franchises, and the fact that they're crossing them over in this one title series, this one here is one, in our opinion, you definitely want to own. This is just a super cool crossover. A lot of times these crossovers, these are a big deal in the secondary market. Just look back at the He-Man and Thundercats crossover and the Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossovers. Those comic books, very popular, still trade at a huge premium on the secondary market. So you definitely don't want to miss out on these. When they have two big IPs like this, they cross them over. In our opinion, these are books you want to own. So go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. So there you have the 7 titles we have for you guys this week. There's definitely some books in here you guys should pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.